The Midwest supporting, bruiser loving, positivity spreading, world's most dangerous podcast. Join former pro wrestler and promoter Dave Dynasty as he supports and promotes Midwest pro wrestling. Keep on growing with the Midwest Express. This is the Dave Dynasty Show.
And greetings and welcome to the Dave Dynasty Show. This is Dave Dynasty, your host, master of the Midwest, your bruiser buddy, so on and so forth. I don't have a lot of nicknames. Downtown Dave. Anybody remember that? Yeah. When I used to wrestle, it was Downtown Dave Dynasty. Not quite sure what that means per se. It was just kind of a take off of Downtown Bruno. Yeah, that's just the way it was. I was Dave Dynasty. We decided I needed a nickname. It was Downtown Dave Dynasty. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's that. Anyway, thanks for joining us. What a week I am having. Oh, man. You know, I'm a planner, right? I like to make plans. I like to make lists. I like to have goals. And, man, it seems like so many times, you know, life just steps in the way and it just flubs up all those plans. That's what happened. You know, we intended on having the show out Monday, and things got busy. It was busy at work. It was busy at home. And now here I am. And in Indiana, it's below zero at times. And then 2 days later, it's 60 degrees. And it's just got my allergies and sinuses a mess. And it's just, man, one thing after another. Not making excuses, but that is why it is. We're a little delayed this week. And that's why this is kind of an abridged episode. No Warner's Wisdom today. Because as busy as I am, old Manser's even more busy. He's out working the road, got a full schedule this week. So he wasn't able to record one, but that's cool. I am a little bummed because I'm recording this on Thursday, and I was planning on going to IWA Mid-South tonight. They're having a tournament to crown a new champion, and just because of the way I'm feeling, I'm just not feeling up to the drive, and everything. Had a long day at work and whatever else, and so kind of bummed I'm not there. Hopefully old Manser takes the title. That's what I'm pulling for. I'm pulling for the Dave Dynasty Show's own Mance Warner. But anyway, any of those guys, it's not going to disappoint. This is going to be a great show. Hopefully you're there. I wish I was there. But I am going to hit a couple shows this weekend. Planning on going to WCWO Friday night. And then going up to Crown Point, Indiana to see Black Label Pro on Saturday. Both of those will be outstanding shows. I'm very, very excited. I cannot wait to go to those. So yeah, hopefully you're going to get out to some shows in your area. Remember, every Wednesday night you can see Rockstar Pro in Dayton, Ohio. And you can see also every Wednesday Ohio Valley Wrestling in Louisville, Kentucky. Every Friday night you can see WCWO in Indianapolis, Indiana. And then every Thursday and Saturday night in Memphis, Indiana, you can check out IWA Mid-South. And of course, there are many, many other shows in your area, running monthly, or more. So get out there and support independent wrestling in your area, especially if you're in the Midwest. That's what we target. But wherever you are, get out there and support them. But we got a great interview today. We got an interview with one half of, what you voted the 2017 Midwest Tag Team of the Year. We have Jake Crist today of, Ohio is for Killers, or Ohio versus everything, if you're an Impact Wrestling fan. Jake, along with his brother Dave, were voted the 2017 Midwest Tag Team of the Year by you, the fans, the listeners. Thank you for all your participation in that. It was great. The fan turnout for the voting was outstanding. Response to the year-end show it was outstanding. So I appreciate that. We plan to make that an annual thing. It should be very, very cool. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have that interview with Jake Crist. So stick around. You've heard him here on the Dave Dynasty Show as a guest and as host of the monthly Graham's Gallery episodes, and now you can hear his stories. You can own a copy of Confessions of a Big-Time Wrestler, the audio book from Dr. Jerry Graham Jr., former multi-tag team champion in WWA and owner of Bruiser Bedlam. You can hear all of his encounters with the various wrestlers, places, and promotions he's worked as he tells about his colorful, long, and illustrious career. You can have your own copy for only $25, and that includes shipping and handling. It's very simple. Go on Facebook, look up Jerry Jaffe, Jaffe, send him a private message, and make arrangements to purchase a copy of Confessions of a Big Time Wrestler now. You will not regret this purchase.
And welcome back to the Dave Dynasty Show. I am your co-host, Ike Isaacs, and today I am joined by none other than Jake Crist. How are we doing today?
I'm lovely. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, even better now that we have you on the line. All right, Jake, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. You're a busy guy, so let's go ahead and knock this out. First question we always ask people, where you grew up. You grew up in Dayton, Ohio, correct?
Absolutely. I actually grew up, it was outside of Dayton, Ohio, a little town called New Carlisle, and then as an adult I moved to the city.
Understandable.
But it was just a little country town. It was it's a different little town, I have to say. New Carlisle is definitely hard-working, blue-collar, that's for sure.
No, absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. But so what was your childhood like growing up in this kind of small town? Did you play any sports?
Actually, no. Around the neighborhood, a bunch of kids would get together. We'd play baseball, football. But as far as actual sports, once I got out of 8th grade, that's when I started focusing on wrestling. So I played baseball up until 8th grade, but other than that, sports really wasn't my thing. I wanted to focus on being a professional wrestler and do anything I could to make that dream happen.
No, absolutely. So I'm assuming that you kind of got the spirit of professional wrestling when you were pretty young. So then we'll go ahead and jump into that. When did you know that wrestling was something you wanted to do? What was the moment that it kind of clicked for you?
I remember watching wrestling at the age of 5. Okay. Sitting on I was sitting on one side of my father's lap, and my brother was sitting on the other, and we both just fell in love with it at the same time. It was WrestleMania 6.
Okay, absolutely. That's obviously WrestleMania is the big daddy of the professional wrestling world, so it's a heck of a way to get jumped into it. So also, with that, your brother Dave is a couple years older than you. Did you guys ever dream of being a tag team when you were younger? Is that something that was ever crossing your mind?
Well, Dave, from the age of 5, we were always a team. Like Dave and I, it's always been us versus the world. We've always had that mentality, and we've always hit the ground running. But my brother was actually a professional inline skater, doing the half pipes and all that stuff. When I was focused on wrestling, he was actually being sponsored as a pro skater.
Wow, I did not know that. Well, that's interesting, though. But then, of course, obviously, he eventually kind of moved into wrestling. So when did that kind of transition happen?
I think it was when he tried a double back football back of his head on the coping. He had a helmet and everything on, but he was out for I think a couple hours. He said, and the people that he was skating with just kind of left him. That's when he was just I think I want to venture out and do something a little different. And he fell into wrestling. His first love's always been wrestling.
No, absolutely. And then, of course, you guys had to eventually get into training and such, but when was it that you guys kind of transitioned into training and actually beginning to train to become a professional wrestler?
Well, like most kids that love professional wrestling, we backyard wrestled and did all that stuff, but we were a lot different than most kids. We actually built a ring and welding class. There was I think there was 17 or 18 of those kids that put all our money together, and my brother welded a ring together, and we put it in our buddy's barn. And we were running backyard shows, and we were drawing pretty well. And a local news station started to do a piece on backyard wrestling, and they actually came and filmed us, and they were like, wow, these kids have merchandise. They actually have a show. We had the whole 9 yards. We even had fans, more fans than most independent companies that ran around Dayton at that time. But they did the special, and then our commentator, his name was Derek, and at the time his mother was going to church, and after one service, this guy named Bill Kovaleski was talking amongst the people, and he was talking about the backyard wrestling piece that he's seen, and he said, I would love to meet those kids from New Carlisle. And one thing led to another, and she put him in touch with Derek, and then Derek told us about it, and he put the whole deal together. He came, I think it was like a Tuesday, and he asked us all to put on a match, and afterwards he was like, you guys got raw potential. I'll train you for free if you wrestle for me for 2 years for free, and that was the deal.
Oh, wow. So then it seems like a pretty sweet deal. What was that early training like? Because like you said, you kind of transitioned from that more raw wrestling, the backyard type wrestling. So what was that transition like?
I remember the first night of actual professional wrestling training, and I couldn't get out of my bed the next day. From actually learning how to properly fall and everything, it was pretty rough getting out of bed the next morning.
I imagine. I mean, it sounds pretty rough. But also, you know,
yeah, it was pretty rough. No, it was a pretty rough time. At the barn, we had huge holes in the roof, and so when it snowed, there actually was snow drifts in the ring, and we had to shovel out. And we had actual high school wrestling mats, and when it was so cold, it was so stiff to bump on. So it was like bumping on a concrete floor. It was pretty rough.
Absolutely. But of course, you know what they say, that's how you build character, right?
Absolutely.
But then, of course, after you train after a while, then you start actually getting into matches. So obviously you did your wrestling, of course, in the backyard setting. But in the more professional setting, what was your first match?
My first match was against my trainer, Bill Kovaleski, and it was at the Piqua Fishing Games in 2002. I just turned 17, and I was just, I think it was like 97 pounds. It was pretty ridiculous. It was outside. We changed. The locker room was it was a fishing game. So like what they do, they would pull the fish out of the lake and come in and deep fry the catfish. So it had catfish smell throughout the whole locker room because we changed in the kitchen. It was pretty crazy.
So then, with that match, did you go by Jake Crist, or did you have like another name you went by?
My first wrestling name was Crazy J.
Okay. I think that's pretty. I think it's pretty suiting for the catfish smell, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was crazy. It was crazy, and like the moves that they did at the time, they were just like, "Wow, this kid's crazy." So they named me Crazy J. Pretty damn smart, huh?
Right, right. So then, another note I kind of have here, like I said, I got some stuff that I'm reading off of, but one of the notes I have here, and this is something I didn't know, early on you guys met Shark Boy, who uses you in his group, Buckeye Pro Wrestling. How did you end up meeting him, and how much did he help you guys early on?
Earlier on, I think it was just more of him being a promoter and wanting to book local upstart talent. I think we've only wrestled like 4 or 5, maybe 6 shows for him. But I don't remember wrestling for him that often. I know I was this heavyweight champion, but like he didn't really have a huge impact on our careers moving forward. That was more of a HWA when we got into there, and guys like Chad Collier, Matt Stryker, Nigel McGuinness, those guys actually put us under their wings and actually taught us the ins and outs of professional wrestling.
No, absolutely. So then, of course, you said you worked for HWA and such, but soon after that, you started working for Insanity Pro Wrestling in Indianapolis, and you guys changed your names and such. But what prompted the name change at that juncture?
We were being looked at as more of like Juggalo kids and actual professional wrestling, and to be serious and to be taken serious in professional wrestling, like the names kind of had to go. So we changed our name to move further into the business and do our jobs at Ring of Honor.
No, absolutely, and that's definitely one of those things. It's kind of a business aspect of wrestling. In order to kind of get a little further, sometimes you have to be a little more professional. But when you changed your names at that
Absolutely.
point, yeah. But at that juncture, when you changed your names, did you just change them to what you're known as now, or was it something different?
No, we changed to what we're known as now. We were going by Irish Airborne at that.
I got you. Okay. So then, definitely the name change probably then helped you move into the next part of your career, which around that same time, of course, you started working for Ring of Honor. But tell us how that came about and what your experiences were with Ring of Honor.
We started wrestling in Ring of Honor, I believe, in late 2000, early 2007. We actually worked for the company all the way up until, I think it was 2016 2016. We did a show, but what ended up was I believe Gabe heard of us, and then Nigel put in a really good word for us, and we went to the Montgomery County Fairgrounds and showed face and shook hands, and we finally got on the show.
Absolutely. And that's it's the wonderful way of the business I have to do sometimes is just go in there, good impression, right? But obviously you've worked in you've worked in a lot of different places. I mean, I probably couldn't even name them all, but one of the places that we want to talk about as well is that you worked with Combat Zone Wrestling. You had a fairly successful career there. What's it been like working for them?
It was a dream. It was a dream come true, actually. Working for CZW, because I was always a huge ECW guy, and they were running the ECW arena monthly, and I jumped all over the opportunity and never looked. I was looking at that as a way to springboard and catapult my career. Ring of Honor really wasn't going anywhere with us. My brother got injured and ruined everything we were working towards, and kept wrestling injured, and it was just a bad spot. So I took that opportunity to try to just change my whole look and go to CZW with something fresh and new.
Absolutely, and certainly that was probably a boost for your career as well. I mean, and like you said, something fresh and new is that's always a good thing. Sometimes if you're working somewhere that's getting kind of stale or not really working out for you, it can be more harm than good in a lot of ways.
For sure, you have to adapt with the business and with culture itself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. But another kind of step along the way, maybe it's a little more recent, but in 2013 you did a tour of Japan for Big Japan Pro Wrestling. How did that come about, and what was it like working in Japan?
Oh, that was a dream come true, because that was the number one goal that I set out for myself years and years and years ago, that I was going to wrestle in Japan. And when I got the opportunity to represent CZW, it was an amazing opportunity for me, an amazing time to learn a different culture and just way Japanese wrestling is as a whole. It's amazing. I love the style.
No, absolutely, and I really love Japanese wrestling as well. The the amount of talent and the amount of vigor that comes out of that culture is incredible. But definitely that was another big step, I'm sure, because that's one of those that everybody looks forward to doing is going to Japan, I feel like. But
absolutely, going overseas and get that plane ticket is definitely the sense of accomplishment. That's for sure.
No, absolutely. But as well, another big accomplishment, another big step along the way for you. Actually, this year you debuted for Impact Wrestling. What is it like working there, and what is it like having more exposure with that kind of a company?
It's you have to be really really tough, and you have to roll with the punches. Being an Impact is something that I never thought of. Opportunity to wrestle at a level that we are now with Impact, and they're doing tremendous things. I think the company is totally turning around, and I'm a huge fan of the way things go on, and the way things are shaping up.
No, absolutely, and I hopefully hope I want to definitely see you guys there. I want to see TNA or an Impact, I say, go ahead and turn itself around, become bigger and bigger and bigger, because it's a very promising company, a company that I really really love. So,
absolutely.
But definitely, I mean, also you kind of see the progression of someone's career. You see, you start out young, you get that passion, you kind of move forward. But the Midwest right now, specifically, the Midwest, Indiana, Ohio, and such, it's a hotbed for professional wrestling, particularly in Ohio, I would say. I'm just going to name a couple of names, see, I think you'll recognize them, I'm sure. But obviously you have talents like Sami Callihan, Desmond Xavier, Aaron Williams, Zachary Wentz, Trey Miguel, and I can go on. It's amazing.
Those are all guys that work for me at Rockstar Pro Wrestling.
Absolutely. So, I mean, these are all guys that are amazing talents, and you guys taken upon yourselves, including you and Dave, to represent Ohio and the Midwest altogether. But how important is it for you to represent that culture that is Midwest wrestling?
It means everything to us, and it's legit. It's us versus everything, and Ohio versus everything just isn't a gimmick. It's our way of life. It's me, Dave, and Sammy. It's always been the man against us, or it's always been us versus everyone else. So we're just taking that and actually putting it on the TV screen, and I think it's coming out pretty amazing.
Absolutely. And like I say, the OI4K, that's an incredible group. Like I gotta say, I've seen you guys compete. I've seen you guys all be together, be separate. I've seen it all, and it's incredible. But do you feel that within the scope of your career from 2010 that this has been your biggest year yet, or that this has been one of the biggest?
I would say this is the biggest, and I think I think it's safe to say that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
No, absolutely, and I definitely hope to say so as well, because I'd love to see you guys excel and exceed, and just jump through so many more just blast through those walls and just become bigger.
I appreciate that.
No, absolutely. And then, what do you feel that your success in 2017 means for your career going into 2018? I'm sure that you guys have some really big plans for 2018, so pretty amped up for that.
Absolutely. 2018, we just gotta work harder. We finally got here, but you have to work 2 times as hard to maintain what you get.
No, yeah, absolutely, and I definitely, you guys have your work cut out for you, but you certainly could. We've seen it before, so I definitely think we'll see it again. Like I said, we're looking ahead at 2018. So, what are your goals going into 2018?
To be completely honest, I have one more match for AAW in Chicago. It's me, Dave, and a 6-man, and I take one match at a time. I really don't look to the future that often. I literally do one match at a time. Like, I'm literally just looking forward to the match on the 30th.
No, that's respectable. That's a simple way, and that's the best way. But Definitely. I mean, like I said, you've had a pretty great career. You still have a powerful career ahead of you. But as we're kind of winding down here, so I want to ask you a couple more things. One thing we like to ask everybody that we get to talk to is, what's one thing most fans don't know about you?
I think what most fans don't really understand or know about me is how private I really am, and that I have actually 2 children. I have a 13-year-old and a 2-year-old. I'm actually married to today. I think that's kind of out, but we kind of kept that to ourselves for, I'd say, the last 10 years of both of our careers of her and I. We just kind of separated like real life and everything like that as far as when it comes to wrestling. So I think those are a couple of things that fans may not know or realize about me, that I'm actually a hard-working father.
No, absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with keeping that to the private side, because some people are a little crazy, and that's my thoughts on that. But and then, like I said, as we kind of wind down, people definitely want to keep up with you in your career. So, what social medias can fans follow you at to keep up with the illustrious career of Jake Crist?
I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Facebook really doesn't count nowadays, but hit me up on those both at the Jake Crist.
Absolutely. So you guys have it here. You know a little bit more about Jake Crist than you did when you came into this interview. You know where you can go stalk his social media at. But Jake, I want to thank you a lot for coming on here, giving us some time, because I know you're a busy guy. I really appreciate you coming on here and just talking to us, telling us about your life.
I appreciate you having me anytime.
And welcome back to the Dave Dynasty Show. I am Dave Dynasty. I am your host, your master of ceremonies, if you will. Great interview there with Jake Crist. Very, very exciting to have him on. We got lots of great things coming up in the next few weeks from the Dave Dynasty Show, and I promise you I'm sticking to my schedule. I'm going to stick to my plan. I'm going to get it back on track. But we got, I may do some special review stuff this weekend, throw out some things. I will definitely be live tweeting when I go to these shows, so make sure you follow me at The Dave Dynasty on Twitter. You can find all of our social media links at davedynasty.com, along with our Patreon link, our Pro Wrestling Tees link, our Amazon.com link, our HighSpots.com link. It's all there. So check all those things out. But in the next few weeks, we'll get some exciting stuff. Next episode should be Graham's Gallery 3. We will talk to Dr. Jerry Graham Jr., and we're going to talk about early Jerry, his early days in Detroit working for the Sheik. So that should be fun. And very cool. He's always entertaining, always informative. Those episodes are always fun, and greatly received. So we're looking forward to that. Week after, we will have an interview with Cody Hawk, great Midwest star, veteran, and as great as his wrestling in-ring career is, he's even more known and more notable as a trainer. So that's a great interview. And then probably the week after that, we should have the back to the WWA history series. We will talk part 1 of WWA in the 70s with Chris Parsons. Very excited about that. That should be very informative. The 70s were so jam-packed for WWA that we are going to have to split this into probably 3 episodes, more than likely. So that's very cool, very exciting. And then the week after that, we're going to have an interview with the Beer City Bruiser from Milwaukee of Ring of Honor fame. So how about that? How about that? The next, God, what is that? 4 weeks? I don't even know. I lost count. The next 4 weeks. I mean, we just gave you the great Jake Crist interview. And then you're going to have Graham's Gallery 3, Cody Hawk, WWA in the 70s Part 1, and the Beer City Bruiser. How is that for a 4-week streak? That is pretty awesome, right? Because we are the only podcast supporting and promoting and helping publicize Midwest pro wrestling, past and present. And we appreciate your support. We appreciate your shares. Get out there and tell a friend to check us out. If you listen to us on iTunes, rate and review us. Share us on all your social medias and share our posts. And we appreciate it. That's what this Midwest Express movement is all about. And we thank you for being a part. And we're going to get out of here. So until next week, I am Dave Dynasty, and this is the Dave Dynasty Show. And until then, be good, be safe, be independent, and keep on growing.